Our next guest, you all know, he's had more than 35 starring roles in motion pictures. He has an Oscar and numerous international awards. One of the most distinguished members of the motion picture colony. Would you welcome Charlton Heston?
Oh, yes.
Good seat, huh?
Your serve.
Your serve, Love 40. I swear, I can start introducing you as a tennis player instead of a motion picture star.
You know,
I picked up a copy of Tennis World today that just came to the house and was thumbing through it, and there you were down at
There you go.
down at Fort Lauderdale when you had the thing for the Motion Picture Relief Fund down there.
And not, 2 weeks ago...
We were down at La Costa together.
La Costa. Oh,
You play a pretty mean game. I'm not up to your game yet.
well, we all... Of course, what you have to bear in mind, we're all just hackers.
Right.
Compared to the players, none of us can play. I think one of the most important things I've learned playing tennis the last few years and the experience I've had playing with players,
Right.
with the great players, is an appreciation of the levels of the game. Tennis has been exploding over the past 10 years. I think there are, something like 20 million players
It's incredible,
in the country
yeah.
now?
Incredible.
And I think almost all of them imagine there are 3 levels of the game. Them, the best player in their club, and Rod Laver, you know?
Yeah.
And in
That's the
fact, there are
tops.
about 17 levels of
Yeah.
play in the game. And as I'm sure you would agree, the opportunity to be on a court with the likes of Emerson or Smith or
Yeah,
Newcomb or Laver.
we played against
is-
Clark Gravener down there, and Emerson and Newcomb were down there
Yeah.
that day and stand. It was incredible. It's a lot of fun.
It sure is.
You know, I was thinking of something today, and this may sound kind of weird. I was going down the list today, and I see the names of the people, Lucille Ball, and I said, Charlton Heston. And I wanted to say, you know, you look. This sounds dumb now. You look like Charlton Heston. Now, you know what I mean? Now, the name fits. No, what I'm saying is, the name fits the way you look. You have that commanding presence, and the name Charlton Heston.
Absolutely. He
says
doesn't
it,
look
you
like
see.
Don Gicho the Owl.
No,
He looks
you
like
see,
Charlton Heston.
if this was
Absolutely.
Murray,
No, he's not.
Murray, just think about that for change. Murray Heston. But he looks like his name. Now, think Humphrey Bogart. I was thinking of people. Now, if a guy named Bogart came to the studios and you didn't know his first name, no one in the world would sit around and say, let's call this fellow who talks like this Humphrey. You say, Sam Bogart?
Yeah.
Bill Bogart? That's what I meant.
Bill,
You don't look like you're...
something
See,
right.
right, but
Jock.
That's why you look like your name. Now, you look like your name. Battalion, right? Dom.
Dom, yes.
But-
Domenico DeLuise, yes.
But Matthew.
Matthew, no.
Matthew DeLuise. You see, it doesn't work. You see what I mean?
Is that your real name, Johnny Carson?
Yeah.
Well, I must say you look like Johnny
You
Carson.
really do look like
He is Johnny Carson.
I
of
am.
course. I mean,
It sounds like a dumb thing, but it's
And
true.
is Charlton Heston your real name? Absolutely.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
kidding.
I remember one of the most humiliating and agonizing experiences of my life. was
Tell
when
us
I-
about it.
In front of all these people. Sure. They are not listening.
Yeah.
They're lying in bed.
It's nice to hear those moments, you know, because we don't think we think you just part the sea, and you know, I like to hear one of
You
yours.
should see how many tries it took. But I was about 12 years old, and I went to a new school, moved to a new town. And I went in school, and, you know, the teacher calls the roll the first day to connect the names with the faces. And she got to my name, and she's reading, and she said, Charlotte Heston. And
Ooh,
she
first
said,
day.
Charlotte Heston. And she said, where's the little Heston girl?
Now, I can
I
imagine...
got into 3 fights that day.
And I can imagine how long that must have gone through the school year, because kids at that age can be very cruel
Oh, it
without
ruined the
realizing
whole
they're
year.
cruel.
With realizing.
Yeah. Oh, that's murder. That's murder. I want to ask you something. I mentioned of all the pictures you played in, your Three Musketeers is now out, and I understand,
Opening
and
the 20th,
opening, and
yeah.
I understand it's an amazing and a fine picture.
I had a marvelous time
Yeah.
in it. I'm a great admirer of Dick Lester, and for once I'm not playing one of the main cheeses. I play Cardinal Richelieu, who's the villain, and I had great fun in it.
Back in a costume and in a period picture.
Well,
right?
yeah, I do a lot of that. The unusual thing about Richelieu for me, I've played a lot of historical characters, but Richelieu was the only guy I've played who had a bigger nose than I did, so I got to wear a false nose, which is kind of fun. You know?
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I never thought of that. That's true. You see, that's another thing that you can play. You can play that kind of a role. You look the part. When you played Moses in the Ten Commandments, that was believable. And if you'd put a lot of other actors in there, it just wouldn't come off.
When I
That's
played
true.
Ben-Hur, they never suspected the race was fixed. They
I
thought
didn't know that.
Yeah, there you are, you see.
Do you enjoy doing a lot of actors, I think, would feel uncomfortable doing Roman with the togas and so forth, but you don't feel that way in
It
Ten
is
because
hard. It is hard,
Yeah.
but you have to be a really good actor and a very big actor, which is fortunately what
you have to be commanding. Yeah.
There are a lot of marvelous actors who are not comfortable, and I suppose maybe therefore not effective in period parts, who, an offhand example, Steve McQueen is, I think, one of our best actors.
Correct.
Paul Newman's another, but neither of them has ever done...
Now, that's what I mean. You see, if you put Paul Newman in say, in an English wig and had to play an English lord or something, it just wouldn't quite seem right because of the physiognomy of the face or something, and then probably the fact that he feels uncomfortable.
That may be part of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I've done, well, I was trained for that kind of thing. On the stage, I've done a lot of period parts. I suppose it's an odd thought. I guess I've done more period parts than any other actor in the country, which...
Aren't you comfortable, though? I mean, you look very comfortable, and you make us comfortable.
Well, I think it's... A lot of actors are bugged by the wardrobe, you know, but
Putting
you've got
on all
the
the costume,
costumes.
yeah.
And you see them between the takes, they take off as much of the outer part as they can because they can't sit down comfortably in it. But you've got to make it feel like clothes, not wardrobe. This sounds really ridiculous. I'll really get a reputation as a freak. But when I'm doing a period part, I often wear some of it home at night.
Get out of here.
No kidding. No kidding. Swear.
Is that Emmis?
Scout's honor.
No kidding.
I can see you driving down the freeway.
I can't imagine him, saying...
Well, I don't mean the whole bit.
Just part of it. Just
like when I played Michelangelo, you can wear the tights and a shirt home at night. And that's...
Feels comfortable.
In the first place, Elizabethan wardrobe is some of the greatest wardrobe ever developed.
Who did that wonderful story, and I don't know if it's apocryphal or not, when Victor Mature was doing some gladiator picture, and they went to some bar. They told it on the show. Some other guy...
Oh, with Jim Backus.
Jim Backus.
Oh, yeah.
And they went to some bar, and they had all of the stuff on with the thing on the helmets and so forth, and they sat down. And the bartender just didn't recognize them because they had all the beards but the helmets and the things hanging. And he looked at him, and Mature looked over and says, "What's wrong? Don't you serve servicemen?" Broke him up. I've got to do this word in Toyota. Toyota. Small car specialist for 40 years. Toyota. We are back. Is that all we have is a minute? I'm sorry we got behind time tonight because some other things I wanted. First of all, I wanted to tell you that the Cagney thing that they did the other night, the American Film Institute was
celebration,
great.
wasn't it?
That was a rather an emotional evening because I've never seen that many stars of Hollywood come to an affair like that genuinely for the man.
They didn't come for themselves, they came for Cagney.
A lot of times they go, they
just
say, "Oh, it's
marvelous.
exciting, you're going to see each other," but that was great.
Yeah, we were all very happy about that in the American
Did you
Film
ever have a chance to work with him at all on anything?
Never did. He was still working when I first came to Hollywood, but I never had the good luck to work with him, which is my loss.
Yeah.
He's one of our great...
He's
great
retired
figures.
now, and I have met him a couple of times, and I would never intrude to say, "Come on the show," because he really means what he says, He says...
He doesn't want to.
He doesn't really want the exposure, and he feels uncomfortable with it, and I think that's great when you had that kind of a
But he
career.
was sure marvelous the other night, wasn't he?
A lot of style. A lot of style.
A lot of style, that's it.
Thank you for coming tonight, Chuck. I hope we meet soon
Always a pleasure.
soon on the tennis court.
Either in front of your microphone or across the net.
Hey,
I
great.
hope so.
Thanks, Chuck. Thank you, Dom.
I'll see you by the hedges. Goodbye.
Tony Newley will be here Monday night, and he will have Miss Greer Garson, Bob Newhart, Florence Henderson, and Dick Martin with him. Thank you for being with us. Good night.